Hey guys, back with another Maple Story video here. This time, this is our first practice of Damien. I talked about it on my podcast, my last episode of Echoing Thoughts, and I wanted to show you 3 different runs of our first day of attempts. This first run is no buffs. So the main reason why we did no buffs was essentially it was just a practice of getting used to the rotation of skills. It's sort of similar to just going in by yourself, or if you're doing hard Magnus or arc, you can go in and the rotation of skills are exactly the same. So how much damage you do doesn't really matter. So we wanted to kind of just go in and just see how it was for the first time. As you can see, it was as expected, really. When you go into a fight without really knowing the rotation of skills, you sort of go in blind. It's really hard to, it's just very overwhelming, right? And one of the things that I did that made me really successful in these runs, other than that death right before this, was just, like I said, I went in 30 minutes earlier in the day, 45 minutes, sort of just got the rotation. I tried to, explain it. I try to get the hang of it, at least the first couple minutes, so that I wasn't going in blind, right? I talked about it a lot. It's just preparation. It's sort of just, not reacting, but sort of anticipating, especially as the aggro a lot of the times in fights. Positioning the boss is super crucial to help the entire team out, right? So I wanted to be prepared and know how to use my skills, test certain things out so that I knew what I could do in certain situations to immune damage, to survive, or to dodge skills altogether, right? And so one of the things that we all used was that blink skill. We crafted it. It allowed us to reposition, teleport back onto Damien if we needed to, cross the map, dash skill, or if he flies up, he does the yellow meatball attack, whatever you want to call it. The fly up skill, KMSM does this a lot, where they just fly up and blink and they avoid all of those orbs altogether. That is there's just options, right? But the blink skill is one of those things that we all sort of crafted and had to get used to get start with. And for me, it allowed me to minimize using Synchro altogether, right? I wanted to keep Synchro. I didn't want to just throw it out there to maximize damage. I wanted to do it at the opportune time, the right times when I really needed it to kind of get out of certain situations. Like this one right here, I chose to use it. I think that was the second time I used it the entire fight here. But less than 3 minutes in, we completely wipe. Not really a surprise. We started off wiping to the first attack. And, it does seem very overwhelming. But I'm telling you, it gets much, much easier. You'll see once we start buffing, we actually do a lot better. We talk it over. We have a lot of our team is quick learners, great players. So we really adapted to the situations quickly, kind of understanding what kills us, what doesn't kill us. And that really plays a huge part in, how we react to certain situations, right? So this time you can see our second run, we said, F it, let's just go in full buffed. We got the hang of it. We might as well, we don't got the hang of it, but we got nothing to lose at this point. Let's just go in, send it with the buffs, and see what's up. And so I ended up using Fair Trade for this run. I don't think it was necessary, but I didn't have crit rate tangs, so that was what I was using. Looks like we stunned it right off the bat here. He is dashing, so the first skill that he does is that sword skill that drops on the ground, right? So these swords that fly around all the time kind of create this rotted area where that sword explodes. It detonates every 2-ish seconds right there in the middle of the map. And you can jump across it if you time it correctly like I did. And then he has this dash skill, right? So I jumped over it and he dashed through it. And then he has this black mist. It's very similar to kind of like a Mulong or a Floor 44, Semperis type of mist attack as well. Just find the opening as well, because that's going to one-shot you. And basically, it's just understanding that there's a rotation, there's skills, there's the dash skill again. You see that purple kind of aura is what's the indicator for the dash, jump above, whatever. So you won't actually die to the dash. It does about 90k damage, but you will get what is called branding. And branding, you see the numbers above us. I have 2 out of 7. Some people have 3 out of 7, whatever it is. That is sort of the X factor that is unique to Lotus, or unique to Damien, sorry. That we just didn't know how to prepare for. We didn't really understand. We didn't do a good job of it that well. We were pretty good at dodging for the most part. You see we have 8 lives left, a minute and a half in, not terrible, right? I think we were kind of just, we're getting used to dodging stuff, right? DPS, right, not as expected, isn't the greatest, especially as we're trying to just get used to mechanics and survive. That's, people were trying to test out new things as well, seeing what skills, on their own time, what skills worked for certain situations as well. So everyone was theory crafting their own type of things. This, again, was the first run for most people. I don't think too many people went into Damien and tested it out like I did. So they were kind of theory crafting on the fly. So they were doing, maybe weren't maximizing their DPS like they expected. They were just, trying different things, right? And that's great, right? That's what people should be doing. They should be, especially when you're one of the first teams that are trying it, running it, you have to figure out these things that are specific to you and your situation as your class, because you're not going to find that much information out there on your, in the general public, right? So some of the things that we learned was, even though you're in an iframe or synchro, you may immune damage to like a dash, for example, but your branding stacks will continue to go up if you get hit by the dash. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. You see our stacks are getting pretty high right now of branding, and pretty much once someone dies to branding, you'll see the area just gets filled with swords, rotted areas, and it just gets overwhelming real quickly. You see swords are flying all over the place. The entire map gets covered, and this is sort of what I would call kind of the timer, right? The point of no return sort of situation, right? You have to get the main mechanic that we learned, that is kind of our Achilles heel, the thing that we're gonna have the most time getting used to, is that branding. So going into this third one, some people are trying to test it out, see how to use it, what the regular altar was versus the dark world altar, I think it is. There's a white one, there's a light one, and a dark one, and they do different things. But ultimately, that is sort of the key to success in phase 1. But I think what some teams in Asia did that they made them get through phase 2 that we didn't do was they kind of just brute forced their way. They understand there was a timer, right? You want to get through phase 1 within 3-4 minutes before you get through take too much branding. And they sort of just ate all the damage, maximized damage, and tried to just pure DPS it. That is something we didn't do. We really just kind of just went free for all, just try to figure things out on our own. And I think we're going to learn from it. I think it's going to make us, better for it. Now, eventually, as we get more gear and things like that, we will start to do more DPS naturally. I'm not really worried about the DPS, as you can see. But numbers are pretty low in general, just because of the ignore enemy defense, because of the amount of movements, the amount of time that, Lotus, or Damien, keep saying Lotus, Damien is, immune to damage. And, when we have to reposition, like things like that, he's teleporting here and there where he's immune for a bit. So it's just a learning process for everybody. I think you see here, for me, I was just trying to use, my ideal time to use my Synchro was right here, because he's going to, we get stunned up, but he's going to use this Black Mist. He's going to do 2 Black Mist within a 30-second range time frame. So I think the Black Mist are my biggest issues that I want to avoid, because those are one-shots. So if I could use Synchro there, so here it is, kind of 2 back-to-back in a short amount of time, and that really kind of hurts us. So I use my Synchro right there, allowed me to just avoid that mechanic completely and maximize my DPS. Now, I think there are better options, but that is sort of, I think I can dodge most skills within the first minute, no problem. And you see people are kind of trying to test out using the blink skill, flying and unmuting those blue that blue attack as well. So people are just theory crafting, right? I think that's kind of what the first experiment was, seeing what skills do what. You see I up jump and I jump away to avoid that dash right there so I don't get branded and take damage unnecessarily. Right there, kind of just find the opening. And the biggest pain, in my opinion, I think for a lot of us is not just the branding, but it's the rod areas. See that sword in the middle? We didn't get used to that, the detonation. And then it's that swords, that the swords that just keep flying around. They kind of just they don't do a lot of damage. They just kind of do little knockbacks here and there, and kind of just throws you off. So I still think EXP jewels are probably the play knockback wise. I think just being able to endure some of those little mini hits, like right there, 50k here and there, and a knockback is just annoying. Kind of interrupts skills and things like that. And so I hope this kind of is interesting to you guys. This was kind of just my thought process. Again, it is a set rotation, but it's really hard to just key in on a set rotation with so many things going on. It's kind of all the bosses on crack, right? Got a little bit of Empress from floor 44. It's got a little bit of Hard Magnus. It's got, you know, a set rotation like Lotus, and it's just a lot of things flying around. It's just a lot of fun. I think we did pretty well. We only had to get to about 33% left of the HP to get to phase 2. I definitely think it's doable if we got more practice, got more reps in. We didn't, you know, we got it to around 50%. We kind of just ran out of gas. People were trying new things, but overall it was a lot of fun. Definitely will post more of our content. Thanks for watching. See you next time.